There are a massive number of changes coming to the end game in patch 3.24 for Path of Exile, and they affect basically every archetype of player. If you're an end game blaster and magic finding, then you obviously got hit a lot. We've got Alch and Go, we've just got basic farming strategies, target farming, June, tier 17 maps, Uber boss updates. There's a ton of stuff to go over. So in this video, I want to talk about how basically all the things that we've seen so far are a buff to the end game of Path of Exile. Changes to the Atlas tree, in my opinion, are almost entirely positive, and they open up a lot of new opportunities for farming. With that being said, not all the information is available right now regarding the scarabs, the intricacies of the new league mechanic. So this video is going to focus more on what we currently know and how it affects the end game and potentially the economy. So first of all, we'll get into the elephant in the room, the one that dominated last league, and that is Magic Find. A lot of people, I would forgive you if you saw the removal of Wandering Path and your heart sunk a little bit. You thought maybe it was gone, but hey, what was Wandering Path giving you? Well, mostly it was giving you 60% increased effect of modifiers, up from 30. This was, of course, scaling the map quantity and rarity and pack size. This was, of course, separately multiplied with player quantity and mob quantity and rarity and all that. So losing that would have been a big hit, would have been a considerable loss to the amount of loot you're going to get. But GGG, of course, compensated for the loss of Wandering Path by adding 3 new clusters onto the Atlas tree that provide the ability to scale the effect of modifiers on your map, and in turn, the quant, rarity, and pack size. And the value that you can actually get now exceeds that you could get before. Prior to this patch, you would be able to get 60, and after the patch, you can get in excess of 90, and it's not that difficult to get there. So first of all, we have the Chiseled Perfection, which gives 3% increased effect of modifiers on your maps per 5% quality. This, of course, is in most cases going to result in 12% increased effects. We have the mounting modifiers, which is 2% increased effect of modifiers on your maps per explicit map modifier. So for most people, again, this is going to be 12%. But if you're an 8 mod farmer, this is going to be 16%. But it does not end there. There is one other node on the tree that is going to kind of affect both of these nodes in a minor way, and that is Twist of Fate. And this is the one that is catching the eye of a lot of people that like to farm Magic Find. And that's because prior to this league, you absolutely could not use this with pretty much anything except Vaal Temple farming. And while you still would want to use it with Vaal Temple farming, they removed a pretty key line, which is that it randomizes a scarab. So you can now focus which scarabs you want. As before, you would typically go grow in hordes with Twist of Fate, so you could get a guaranteed bonus, and you could somewhat control the bonus you were getting. Now you can still use any scarab you wish, and Showcase to us was a divination scarab. That means you can run any map you choose. This feels like just a massive buff to Magic Finders, and the reason for that is, of course, they like to use their strong boxes. And the one piece of speculation that I will put into this video is that the Enraged Strongbox scarab will almost definitely exist on ambush scarabs. If it doesn't, then egg on my face, but I think we can pretty reasonably say that it's going to be there. So getting 10 extra strongboxes on your map as a result of using a Vaal Temple, which you then transform into another map, that's a pretty handy buff. But now if you know how this works, you're screaming at your monitor and telling me that it's not 10, and you're exactly right. It is actually going to be either 18 or 19, depending on how your maps roll. And that is because that implicit modifier scales with the increased effect of map modifiers that we've been talking about up until this point. So now, Magic Finders, if they get their Enraged Strongbox, will play every map with slightly more than half a monstrous treasure by default. Now, of course, this does come at a hefty cost. The maps are going to be difficult. Each map modified this way has 1 to 3 additional random map modifiers. Also, they're modified unpredictably, meaning you pretty much have to be able to run any map combination of mods in the entire game. So very, very high tier content for very, very strong builds, but very, very rewarding. And I really like that. That's what I want to see in the game. I want to see things that are difficult and equally rewarding. And this is an example of that at least being attempted. I will not comment on whether or not it's a good example until we've got to play it, but definitely an attempt has been made. So Twist of Fate seems very interesting. And of course, these additional map mods and all the stuff on there will scale with this, with the things like mounting modifiers. So expect to see, Magic Finders trying this out at the very least. I'm sure Fubgun will be trying this. He'll be in there getting 19 free strong boxes every map. And of course, you have this node now, which means 10% chance to be openable again. Combine that with all the other small nodes, and you get 16% more strong boxes. So I foresee, a lot of good stuff happening for MF this league, which might be to some players' chagrin. But, you know, it is what it is. MF seems to be here to stay. Now, that isn't the only thing affecting MF, of course. There are other things that tie into the new changes with scarabs. MF is going to get a lot more access to scarabs, as your chance to drop scarabs are now, they're a world drop, so they will scale with your quant on your character. So MF will have decent access to scarabs just by nature of speccing these small nodes on the tree and dropping more loot naturally through their MF stats. This could be then utilized to target farm particular scarabs, whether it be by blocking particular types of scarabs and then focusing your attention on specific ones, if we were to go with ambush here. There's definitely some stuff you can do. Also, it's going to make altars better on average, as there is the altar that duplicates scarabs that before wasn't that premium. Now it may be a really good one, because you could be dropping a ton of scarabs. Of course, this is again speculation. I don't know how common the scarabs are going to be, but given how crucial they are for farming and the loss and pretty easy to obtain awakened sextants, I expect them to be reasonably common. So MFs are going to be dropping them in spades. Now, not only that, we do have my little, punch that I'd say, the league mechanic does offer the player an opportunity to scale monster quant and rarity, something that is a bit of a hidden gem. And obviously last league we saw it in its full force, and I'm not going to say this league is going to be anywhere close to last league, but this league, they did show in the showcase the ability to add rarity and quantity to particular types of mobs, and doing that can result in loot goblins. Now, they did remove some of the combinations that allow you to get scarab explosions, but they didn't remove the currency one. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see at least a few piles of divines being dropped by the high-end juicers. It will be nowhere near what it was this league, but remember this video when you watch Path of Exile highlights and someone drops something like 15 to 20 divines from a haunted mob. This is very possibly gonna happen, as scaling mob quant isn't that easy, and having access to it is very rewarding when it actually hits. So another good thing for MF there, as those things do obviously scale separately with your player and map quant, which are two things you're going to have in spades. So hopefully that goes over some of the changes to Magic Find. I'm by no means an expert in this. If you would like to speak to an expert on Magic Find, of course, go and check out Fubgun's Twitch and YouTube. He's obviously the big brain about this kind of stuff. But that was my initial thoughts when I saw the patch notes. Immediately with Twisted Fate, that was what I was thinking with the changes, because it is something I'd experimented with before. So that is my take. Now, next we have... for the more conservative farmers among you, we have obviously Alch and Go, or just, you don't want to invest as much. And the tree did get buffed considerably for you as well. The ability to get some mechanics that were otherwise unobtainable with the tree now exists. You can get Beyond and Delirium 100% of the time, as well as a few other mechanics like Harvest, Expedition, Blight, a lot of mechanics that you previously couldn't get a 100% chance to see, you now can. And this is very, very strong, and the reason for that is it's very easy to incorporate Delirium into any strategy. It's a pretty easy mechanic to do. It's not particularly cumbersome. It doesn't slow you down a lot. The same goes in some ways for Beyond. All you really want to do, if you're not using Endless Tide and magic finding, is just to summon the boss and collect the tainted currency. So being able to spend these points to see these mechanics every single map is going to be very strong, because previously you would get about 50% chance for Delirium. Now you can get 100, and I was using this before. So and at the end of a day or two of farming, my Delirium tab would be very, very full of Delirium orbs, and they would sell immediately. So the amount of those that I would get, were this to be the case now, would obviously be double, because we're getting 100% chance now. So don't sleep on this. Just the availability of these things is obviously going to increase the obtainability of the loot that they provide. So expect to see tainted currency a bit cheaper this league, or at least it'll come down faster. The same goes for Delirium orbs. I expect them to come down, unless skittering Delirium orbs are very, very valuable with the new scarab changes. But I would expect these things to be a bit cheaper this league, as you're just going to have more access to them. Every single map, you're going to be printing a couple of Deli orbs or tainted currencies. So very strong there. And of course, this would go on top of everything else that you're doing if you wanted to come in and do Expedition or Harvest, which we'll get into in a second. There's many things you can do here, but I just wanted to highlight how big this was for specific mechanics like Delirium and Beyond, but it does extend to how you would incorporate this into other strategies as well. But those two things aren't the only package that kind of got some support and maybe are a bit of a slap on every strat kind of deal. There is also a very powerful node that has been used very frequently in the past called Pact with Energy. What this does is every time you click a sulfite node, you will gain a buff to your character. You can get 3 of these per map, so you can get up to 3% max res, 105% increased damage, and 45% move speed just by clearing your map and clicking sulfite nodes. And you end up getting a relatively high chance to get an eco. You can see 40 there, 48, 56, 64. We end up going, what, 72, 80, and then if you do want to come in here, you end up getting to 100. We don't know really what these Doom Spirits are, at least I don't. If you do, feel free to comment. But this is a very nice thing to add onto your maps. It's kind of a throw in there if you've ran out of points or you don't want to add in another slow mechanic, or there's not any better points for you to take. This is a very nice one for character power, absolutely, and something that has been tacked onto strategies for a very long time, and it's very easy to do so now. Even if you don't want to go this hard into it, just throwing it on with these things will give you a pretty decent chance. It's about 64% and then the base chance. And then of course, once you've clicked all these and you have a ton of sulfite, you can head on over with all this azurite to the azurite mine and buy some resonators, which then turn this into some currency. Not the highest currency per point value compared to some of the other things like delirium and beyond, but the character power is very nice. Next, we have one of arguably the best keystones for League Start. Prior to this, you would rush up towards Wandering Path. Obviously on the 3.23 tree, it was situated right here. You would run to Wandering Path and then you'd come back and you'd claim all these nodes here to give yourself more chance to drop adjacent maps and therefore complete your atlas faster. Well, now you're going to want to run all the way up to the top and get Unwavering Vision. This grants, when you click it, grants you 20 atlas passives. Now, I am speaking about this in the context of your first atlas clear. I wouldn't confidently say to use this keystone outside of that on anything else, just because we don't know how good scarabs are going to be or anything like that. Obviously, it's very strong, but this is just for the first clear, at least for now, until I've had the chance to test it. I don't think there'll be any atlas tree for League Star outside of some niche ones that don't just come up here and grab this, because you get here at 19 points and then you double your points. So you could choose to grab all this. You could even come around and grab Kirak if you just wanted to rush completion. You could do all this. You could grab this Kirak, and well, you've got 5 extra. You could end up just spending them this way, right? So you end up getting tons of chance to drop additional maps. You've got Kiraks that you're going to be using to complete your atlas as well. Or you could just sack off the Kirak and grab all these adjacent map nodes. So early on, very, very strong. If you don't want to do it this way to quickly complete your atlas, there are other things you can do. You could get to this node immediately and then just go, right, I want 100% chance to get an expedition. So you come in here, grab all the chance for expedition. Maybe you come here. You've still not even used up all your 20 points. So here you've got all this chance for expedition. I don't think you're quite at 100. I think you'd need this point and these points to get there. But what? That's 2 points after receiving this one. So very, very strong for League Start, and you can be farming a strat like Expedition almost immediately. So definitely something to check out, and something I'll definitely be incorporating into my beginner atlas tree or my first clear atlas tree that I use this League Start. Now, a big one that I want to talk about personally, and something that maybe is something more endgame, but if you don't like magic finding, and that is Harvest. Harvest was something that benefited a lot from Wandering Path before. It was something that I did with Wandering Path a lot before. You could also do it with Grand Design, but now you can guarantee Harvest without the use of a compass. So you can do this very early if your build is capable. And the reason I say if your build is capable is that this is, of course, going to utilize the chiseled perfection and the mounting modifiers and the invasive adversaries to get all this effect on your map. So these are going to be quite difficult. But here's why I think it's going to be worth doing. And that's because these are the comparisons from before the patch to after. Now, this doesn't count, the additional pack size you would get from growing hordes. You do in some ways get that back from the increased effect of map mods. So you get back all those quant and rarities that you lose with Wandering Path, but you also get access to notables. And if you want to get a bit cheeky, something I'm thinking about doing is I love crop rotation. It's my favorite point on the tree. Might try out crop rotation with some remarkable relics and some amplified artifacts just to see if I can get a bit crazy and get some scarab explosions going. You never know, right? It could be cool. Definitely something I'm going to look into. But Harvest was a big beneficiary of these changes, as you can pretty much do it Alch and go. All you need is a decent build that can actually clear it with this amount of increased effect and modifiers, and you're going to be laughing to the bank with all your life force. So yeah, I hope this gave you some insight into what I'm looking into for the new League Start. Obviously, this is very early. We still need scarabs, but I just wanted to kind of brain dump a little bit, get, you know, just speak at the mic for a little bit to you guys about what I'm thinking and what I've seen so far. And yeah, you guys can let me know too. Like, I wanna do more videos this league where I'm just talking to you guys about strats and all that kind of stuff, and more use the YouTube just to like communicate, like, and get what I'm trying out there, what you guys think I should try, all that. Yeah, I wanna breathe a bit of life into my YouTube. So this is an opportunity to do it. So if you do like the video and you want to stay tuned, you know, with what I get up to this league, do feel free to subscribe. Come by, check out the Twitch. You can head on over to Maxroll. Obviously, there'll be currency guides on there. We are in the mines right now as everything got nuked. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video and listened to me ramble for a good 15 minutes, and I'll see you next time.